Hi, everybody. I guess I'm live and I look really dark. I don't know how to change the lighting, so I hope it's okay. Let me move my computer back. Maybe that'll help. Well, maybe not. I'm going to leave you right here. How's that? um, I'm Donna, and I thought tonight we would kind of have a lighthearted video. And hang on, I'm going to put on my cheap reader glasses. Here we go. My regular glasses are trifocals and I can see the lines as I'm talking. That drives me nuts. But I discovered today that I can use my readers and read just fine. How about that? Um, Tonight I thought we would do something kind of lighthearted. It's the world is kind of in chaos right now. And to start things off, I was watering my garden earlier tonight and I found this. I decided I'm trying to get a good picture of him. I decided to call him my Grinch. Oh, here we go. I gotta go opposite. So this is my funny start to the evening. This is a Grinchy tomato, and I kind of wonder. I gotta go opposite what I think I'm doing. I'm kind of wondering if I leave him out for 3 months, what will he look like at Christmas time? I don't know. Isn't that silly? We gotta laugh sometimes. Speaking of laughing, oh, I forgot what he said now. I just watched Buzz's retirement garage. Is that what it is? Buzz's retirement. He's a nice guy. And he had three things he talks about in retirement. And it was pretty much patience, happiness, and helping others. And I thought that was really good. He's always cheerful, and I try to be like that. There are people here. Can you guys hear me? If you guys can hear me, please say hi or do a thumbs up or something so I know I'm not just talking to dead air, dead space. Um, One thing I kind of wanted to talk about is I have twin granddaughters who turn 15 tomorrow, and I was gonna put up a baby picture of them, and I decided not to do that because my adult children don't want any photos on the internet of their children, and I totally get that. And at first I thought, well, they were babies back then. I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. But however, I do like to knit, and I thought I show you what I did. When we found out twin A, I'm not even going to say their names. When the twins, when we found out they were pregnant, they never wanted to know the sex of the baby. So I started knitting this yellow blanket because we didn't know if it was going to be a boy or a girl. And I never finished it because I found out they were having twins. So I went out and bought. I'm kind of picky, so I bought this yarn for twin B, and I discovered that the yarn for twin A wasn't quite the same as the yarn for twin B. They were different textures. So I quit making twin A baby blanket, and I bought yellow yarn. I think this is it. I bought yellow yarn, and then this yarn it's mostly white. Oh, I have to do the opposite on the camera, what I think I'm doing. It's got flecks of yellow and green in it. So, and talk about a big project. When I found out that they were having twins, I decided I had to knit both blankets at the same time. And after a while, they got pretty heavy. And I've knitted baby blankets for all the babies, all the grandbabies. And I always pray over them before while I'm making them. And with the twins, this is a happy ending, so I can talk about it. But they were identical twins. So we knew right away and there was a possibility that the twins could be in the same sack. I don't know much about medicine. So anyways, there was a concern if there's a name for it. I don't remember the name now, but if the twins are in the same sack and they share the same placenta, one baby can take more nutrients than the other, and sometimes the second baby doesn't make it. So I prayed a lot for those two, and they were perfect. They were born a few weeks early, but they were large. They both weighed 5 pounds, and they were 7 weeks early. So I just feel very blessed that these two girls made it into the world okay, and they're beautiful young ladies now. And I just wanted to talk about that real quick. And I see 4 people are here. 4 people are. I see 4, the number 4. That's all I know. Nobody's talking yet. So I thought I'd come up with a few silly stories, and we'll take it from there. And the first one I had, I was born in England, and my dad was in the Air Force, serving in the Air Force, and he met my mom, and they fell in love and got married. And my brother and I were born over there. And I don't remember, I was 17 months old when we came over. But I remember when I was about 8 or 9, I was probably 8, my dad got out the globe and he showed my brothers and me where England was and where we lived in America. And it didn't mean a whole lot to me. But we did go to England when I was 9 years old. My parents saved up, my dad saved up for 5 years to take us all there. We were kind of lower middle income back then. And he didn't take vacation for 2 years. So we were over there 9 weeks, and my dad did a couple 3 weeks of business trips so we could stay over there longer. So, anyways, leading into the current story, my one child has 4 children, and I was babysitting them one day and just had the 4, then they have 6 now. So I got out the atlas and I was showing my grandchildren where I was born. And I said I was born in England, and they're kind of rolling their eyes, grandma's trying to teach us again. And so I said, well, I was born in Liverpool. And I said, home of the Beatles. And my oldest grandchild said, Bugs? And I said, no, the group, the Beatles. So that's one of my funnier stories about the grandchildren. And then I have another one. Um, my one grandson, he tells it like it is, and I love him dearly. He'll be 17 in a couple weeks here. But I quit coloring my hair about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and I was kind of a light brunette, kind of my natural hair color. And I decided to quit coloring my hair, and my hair went white. And so one day he goes, Grandma, you did something to your hair. And I said, well, I quit coloring it. And he goes, you look like a grandma now. And I just laughed and I said, well, I am a grandma now. And he said, I didn't look like a mommy anymore. I thought that was kind of funny. So if any of you have any funny stories, and they're kind of short, please chime in and let's have a bit of a laugh. And I found one story. In fact, I I printed it off and lost it. Well, I put it on my computer and I lost it. This story, I'm going to try and read it without laughing. And I found it. Hang on here. Uh-oh. Let me look someplace. When I was on Facebook, I saw this. It says, Walmart thinks I want to put up my Christmas tree and eat turkey while eating a Halloween costume. Yeah, that's about right, right? Let me make sure I'm still here. I'm still here. Okay, let me find my story. And I'm opening it up. Uh-oh. Oh, I copied it. Here we go. And it says, I cannot shop at Costco anymore. Yesterday, I was at Costco buying a large bag of Purina dog chow for my loyal pet, Nico, the wonder dog, which weighs 191 pounds. I was in the checkout lane when a woman behind me asked if I had a dog. What did she think? I had an elephant? So, because I'm retired and have little to do, on impulse, I told her no, I didn't have a dog. I was starting the Purina diet again, and I added that I probably shouldn't because I ended up in the hospital last time, but that I'd lost 50 pounds before I awakened in the intensive ward with tubes coming out of most of my orifices and IVs in both arms. I told her it was essentially a perfect diet and that the way it works is to load your jacket pockets with Purina nuggets and simply eat one or two every time you feel hungry. The food is nutritiously complete, so it works well, and I was going to try it again. I have to mention here that practically everyone in line was now enthralled with my story. Horrified, she asked if I ended up in intensive care because the dog food poisoned me. And I told her no, I had to stop to pee on a fire hydrant and a car hit me. I thought the guy behind her was going to have a heart attack. He was laughing so hard. Isn't that funny? And then she ends, Costco won't let me shop there anymore. Better watch you ask retired people. They have all the time in the world to think of crazy things to say. And that is the end of the story. I don't know who wrote it, but that's the story. And I just thought that was funny. And now I can't see myself. Here I am. So, what other funny stories can I talk? Oh, this one isn't quite so funny, but we're supposed to keep our password secret. And when I was working at my last job, um, I had my password at work was my 7 grandchildren in birth order, not the yeah, in birth order. And it's two different families, so their birth dates were intermingled, and then I put a fake number at the end, so it'd be harder to find. Well, when the eighth grandchild came along, I was telling my boss, I said, "Well, I just had to update my password," and he said, "Well, I already know the birth order of all your grandchildren." And I said, "You do?" He said, "Yes." And I said, "Even the twins?" And he said, "Yes." So that was the end of using my grandchildren's first initials for passwords. And that is that story. Let's see here. I'm doing all the talking. There's nothing worse than dead silence, right? Well, I have a cup of tea in front of me here. There's my tea. And I grow different flavors of mints. I have the original mint in my front yard, and then this summer I found a chocolate mint plant. And this is my favorite. In fact, I've got it in my tea tonight. It almost tastes like a York patty mint. I really like it. And then somebody on my channel said that the orange mint's good also. So I bought that this fall, and it's got it's got a bit of a organic taste to it. I can't quite decide what it is. It's minty with something else, but it's nice. I like it. So I've got that growing in a flower pot. And I've noticed, I'm not going to whine too much tonight. I've had allergies really bad this summer, and I've noticed when I put some fresh mint in my tea, I think the aroma kind of goes up through the nostrils and makes me feel better. So I've been enjoying doing a little herbal tea with my regular tea. And do any of you have a favorite tea that you like to drink or an herb? Um, is anybody allowed to chat? I've been talking for 15 minutes almost, and there's no chat yet. I'm hoping I didn't do something wrong. Um, Let's see. One thing, well, I'll talk about this a little bit, and if anybody has anything else to say, just jump in and I'll stop talking. I have a little um, channel that I started. Oh, okay. Hi, Simply Michelle. She just got home from work. Oh, good. So now I know that people can talk and chat. So, anyways, I started this other YouTube channel, and it's about the Bible. And today I did a I'm losing my train of thought. Isn't that awful? But when I started this little channel, it's called Christian Walk Day by Day. And I enjoy reading this daily devotional, and I've been reading it in the morning. And it only takes about 5 minutes to read it, and then it takes another 5 minutes to edit it out. But I've kind of discovered I enjoy reading. So I may do a little bit more of that. And speaking of reading, there's a lady, I believe her name is Kentucky Life with Debbie. And I know her name is Debbie, and she's another lovely retired lady, and she talks several times a week. I enjoy listening to her. But she just finished reading Anne of Green Gables, and I loved listening to her. She's got a bit of a southern drawl, and she's just got a quiet, comforting voice. And I have really enjoyed listening to her read this book. And I've been thinking, maybe I should read a book too. Don't want to copy her, but I discovered reading these daily devotionals. I enjoy reading them. And today I did a video, um, and I'm not going to talk about too much about studying the Bible the way that the Bereans study. And that was kind of a fun adventure for me. And and I've been kind of thinking about fall. I I enjoy gardening, and that's winding down. So I've been kind of thinking, what do I want to do throughout the winter? I can see a glare on my glasses. Oh yeah, there's a glare. I may take them off. And if anybody starts talking, I'll have to put my glasses back on. But last year was the first year I was fully unemployed, fully retired, and I was concerned last year that I would get bored, and I didn't. To be honest, my house needs a little bit of decluttering. So I did some of that, and I enjoy a little bit of genealogy, and I just enjoy learning and researching things. And let's see, can I come up with any more funny stories? I was hoping for some class participation here. Oh, let me think. If I keep talking, I'll think of something. Well, there was one funny time I was working, and the dentist called me to remind me I had a dentist appointment coming up. And she said it was 10:10. So I asked her, I said, is it 10 to 10 or 10 after 10? And my coworkers overheard me asking that, and they just busted up laughing. I didn't think it was that funny, but they did. So we had a good laugh over that. And let's see, another kind of funny story from work. I worked with another accountant who was from India, and we always brought our lunches to work. We only got 30 minutes for lunch, and we didn't really have time to go out and eat, so we always brought our lunches to work. And she always made traditional Italian, traditional Italian, traditional Indian food. And we were always, well, what is that? Because it was so different than what we eat. And so one day she brought in pizza, and I said, "Oh, what kind of pizza is it?" And she goes, "Anchovy." And I'm going, "Anchovy? She's vegetarian. She doesn't eat meat. She doesn't eat meat or fish." so, so I had to think through the alphabet. What starts with the letter A? And I finally said, "Is it artichoke?" And she said, "Yes." We kind of had a good laugh over that. Um, I've made it to 20 minutes here talking. So how was your day, Michelle? You said you just got home from work. I hope you had a good day. I know when I worked, it was you just kind of wanted to sit down and relax for a few minutes before you got on with the evening chores. And oh, I'm going to volunteer tomorrow. I haven't done a whole lot of that. I like to volunteer at a nature preserve, and in years past, I used to help monitor um, the the life cycle of monarch butterflies. We would go out. We had a path in a certain site that we went to once a week, and we would collect data. We would look for the eggs, and then as the caterpillars grew, we would note there's 5 stages to a caterpillar before it becomes before it makes its chrysalis. So, anyways, I did that for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. But unfortunately, my allergies. Ah, Michelle just said she picked up extra hours. She's a princess shift. Well, that's good. I'm glad you can do that. Back to the butterflies. My allergies are they've been getting worse and worse. And the butterfly, the butterfly monitoring lasted 12 weeks. In the last 2 weeks of August, I just couldn't do it anymore. So I gave that up, and I really miss it. And I got an email today. They need some help with some administrative office work. So I'm going to go do that tomorrow. And I kind of enjoy doing that kind of stuff. And on to monarch butterflies. I do raise some. I had one monarch butterfly. When they have their 5 stages of caterpillars, and then they form a chrysalis. And then when they emerge from their chrysalis, they call it enclose, which I don't know how they came up with the word enclose, because you think enclose, they're going into something, but here they're coming out. So one of my monarch butterflies enclosed this afternoon, and I put a little short out there. So it's kind of cool. They're beautiful, and it's a boy. At the bottom of their wings, they have a little dot on each of the base of the wing. That means they're a boy. If they don't have the dot, then they're a girl. So, anyways, I took a picture of him and videotaped it and watched him fly away. That's kind of cool. That's my ecology. I I'm not a I'm not a real big tree hugger, but I do try to make this world a little better place than what I've got now. And I purposely grow flowers that not the butter, well, the butterflies like them too, but the pollinators like zinnias and those kinds of flowers, and that keeps the bees around. And let's see what else. Um, has anybody watched the Trump went to England here this week? I think he's still there, and they had their pomp and circumstance. And before I came on live, it's the Royal Channel, I think. They had some video clips of um, of all the festivities. And Michelle says volunteering is fun. And yes, it is. It makes you feel good. Oh, that reminds me. I went garage sailing last Saturday, and I went to this one house, and there was these 2 little girls. They're about 10 years old, and they had their big sign up, and they said lemonade for $1. So I walked up to her and I said, "Well, I don't want any lemonade, but I'll give you $1 for, to help the cause." And they said, "Oh, that's what everybody else says." And so I said, "Well, what are you saving up for?" And she says, "Well, we're taking donations for our school." And I said, "Well," I said, "I'm going to give you $5 for that, because you're helping out your school." And they were so excited. That was the best $5 I think I spent all month, just to see these girls. They were jumping up and down, yay, and saying thank you. I wasn't doing it for being acknowledged, but just the thought that I was doing something nice for somebody and I made somebody happy. So that was kind of nice. And honestly, I think most of our world is like that. I tend to think the glass is half full and not half empty. And I try not to think the worst of somebody. I know sometimes, you see a grumpy person and then you think, well, maybe they've really had a bad day that day. And I try to at least give a little bit of a smile and make eye contact because you don't know what that other person's going through that day. And what else is going on? Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. I think on my channel it's pretty new and I talk a lot about gardening and grocery hauls and that type of stuff, but that's just a small part of my life. And I have a lot of varied interests, and my interests, I guess, are kind of seasonal. I mean, in the summer, I enjoy gardening and I've done some preserving of food and that type of stuff, and I do enjoy that. But as winter comes around, I have more yarn than a girl should have. I have one sock syndrome in the knitting world. I knit one sock and I never finish I never even start the second one. So earlier this week, I I was looking for something and I found these two balls of yarn. I thought, yep, I need to finish those. So I got out the matching socks and they're laying out in the open. So I will say, yep, I need to do them. And actually one of them is kind of a fall color sock, and the other one would look nice, probably around Halloween to Christmas. And they're both stripy socks. So I think probably next week or so, I'll dig out my knitting needles and start knitting socks. And then also, I'm still knitting my grandson's college throw, and that is probably over half done. And not to whine about allergies, but I'm going to. When you don't feel good, the concentration isn't there. So, but I am rebounding, so that's a good thing. And I'm going to read what Simply Michelle wrote. Christ or chaos, LOL. I'm still in the washcloth stage of crocheting and knitting. Oh yeah, you had talked about that. You're going to a senior center and you're learning how to crochet. So you'll have lots of time to do that this winter. I know, a few years ago, I'm gonna take my glasses off. I didn't crochet. I knitted about 20 washcloths, and they sold like hotcakes at the church rummage sale. And I like them because, well, cotton you can throw in the wash just like a towel, and I like them because they've got a little bit of texture to them. So if you've got a little bit of stuff on your dishes or whatever, you can scrub them without scratching. So I like those. And I put on my video today that I had done one this week, so it was something quick and easy to do. And and Michelle, I'm getting you mixed up with somebody else, so I don't want to say the wrong thing. There's one lady that lives in Washington State, and I'm not sure if that's you or not. And she goes to a community garden. And that's all I remember. The perils of getting older. And um, what else could we talk about? My mind never stops, except when I have to think. I was laying in bed till 1 o'clock in the morning the other night, trying to come up with ideas for new video content. And here I am in front of the camera, can't think of a thing to say. And there is kind of one thing I guess I'll talk about. I watch a lot of YouTube channels, kind of to see what they do and to glean some ideas from them. And I've noticed there's a fair amount of channels, and I'm not criticizing them. They're using it to talk about a topic, and they'll say, "Well, I got this from XYZ, and here are 10 things you ought to do, or 10 things you should do." And I just can't quite bring myself to do that. Well, last week I did a live. I did seven habits to help you in your 70s. I got zero response. So I'm kind of trying to come up with ways on my YouTube channel that I can talk about topics, but I don't want to just go from a list. Oh, Michelle does live in Washington State. Oh, okay. I do have the right person. Well, from your videos, it looks like a really nice little place. There's a little sitting area, and you were showing some of the flowers and vegetation somebody was growing, and I thought that was really pretty. I just thought I'd mention that. Um, we don't have any community centers where I live. There's one, it's about 15 miles away in a small town. And actually, I thought about signing up to garden in there. And then there's a sign at the bottom of the sign, there's a big sign out there. There's no watering for the garden. And I thought, well, I'm not dragging water out there. It's too far away. And at home, I've got my hose I got my hose and I can water my garden whenever I want. So that was kind of a bummer that you can't, there's no access to water out there. And kind of going off on a tangent, I know in England, and I'm sure there's other areas, I'm sure there's areas all over the place, but they have allotments and people can go out there and do their allotments. They've got a gardening plot, and I've watched a couple channels over the years, and they make friends with their gardeners and they talk about gardening, and it just sounds kind of like a serendipity thing to do. And Michelle lives in an apartment. So yeah, I can imagine that having a garden to go to would be really nice. Um, I live in a home, and I kind of dread the day when I won't be able to take care of my home anymore. I know there's people that don't like gardening. I enjoy gardening, but I don't like mowing the yard. So it's kind of a mixed bag. And I was talking to my mom. My mom's still alive, and she is 89. She's going to be 90 in December. And my mom is very healthy. I mean, she could probably outwalk me. I mean, she's very, very healthy. And I always kind of in the back of my mind think, oh, I've got another 20 years because I'm going to live as long as mom. And I may not. I mean, we just don't know. And my mom is talking about whether to move or not. She's in a big 2-story house. We moved there when I was in high school back in 1972. And my dad passed away 30 years ago, and she's lived there all these years. And she's got a half acre of land. She has somebody mow the yard now, but I worry about her a little bit. In fact, I was telling her that yesterday. Her bedroom's upstairs, and they do have a downstairs den. And I said, if she's thinking about moving, maybe she should move downstairs and stay in there for a couple years and see how it goes. And she goes, well, then the upstairs will be empty. There's 4 bedrooms upstairs. And I think that's kind of why my mom is so healthy, is because she runs up and down the stairs all day. Whereas, to be honest, I live in a 1-story house, and when I have to go up and down stairs, my knees are going, what? They don't like it. So maybe it's better to have a 2-story house. I don't know. but I'm thankful that my mom is very healthy, and it's kind of weird talking to her because we have some of the same concerns, how long do I live in my house, and health issues. When Gene Hackman died suddenly, was it been about 3 or 4 months ago now? It was so sad. I think most of you remember his wife was in her 60s and she got really sick. I think she died of some virus that was going around. They live out west somewhere. And she died of some flu bug. And Gene Hackman had dementia, and it sounds like he was not aware of much, and it's to the point he probably couldn't have made a 911 phone call to get help for his wife. Well, anyways, he died. And the end of the story was it was 2 or 3 weeks before anybody came over to check on them. And that really bothered me. It bothered me that they both died, but the fact that he lived alone with no help for 2 or 3 weeks before he died, that was so sad. So, anyways, my daughter, I text my daughter every day now, and because I said, I could fall and not be able to reach my cell phone, and if nobody checks up on me, that's not good. And so I think, if you've got any um, female or male friend, doesn't matter, just a friend that you can text each other back and forth just to say, hey, I'm still alive. And we got to take care of ourselves in our community. And there's a group of women I've kind of found here recently. And the one I know the most is Evie, Evie's Retirement Life. I'm terrible with names. But Evie and about 5 or 6 other people, they go live every Friday night and they talk about YouTubing and that type of stuff. And they've developed a friendship. And I'm I've gone to like 3 of them the last 3 Friday nights. So I'm becoming a regular, and it's kind of nice just to talk to other small YouTubers that I think most of us we're doing this mainly as a hobby, and that's what I'm doing. Oh, I got it. I'm feeling famous tonight. I got an email today from somebody, and I forget what the name of it is. It's 3 letters and starts with an S. Is it SEO? Somehow they can help you make better videos. They can create a better title page and a better thumbnail and blah blah blah. So this guy texted me, or he emailed me, I'm sorry. So I emailed him back, and actually he had gone to my website and he had clicked pictures of my last 2 or 3 videos, and he circled around certain things. I can make this look better, blah blah blah. And I thought, well, that was kind of cool. And it probably took him 30 seconds because he's probably a wizard at YouTube stuff. So I uh, I wrote back and I said, well, I appreciate you doing this for me, but or offering to do this for me. I said, however, I'm retired and I'm just doing this as a hobby, and I'm not interested in making a lot of money off of this. Of course, he had a little comeback for it, and I got to fill out a survey. Was I interested in his services? And I said no. But I do go online, and there's all kinds of YouTube channels out there to tell you how to make better content and all that. But I kind of listen to them, but I kind of do my own thing too. And Michelle says community is important. There are 2 other ladies from my church that live in my apartment building. Well, that's good. We need to have friends. And I I've had a friend for a really long time. We've been friends. Well, we kind of met when our daughters were in high school. Our daughters were both in the band. My daughter just turned 51, so it's been a while. Well, we've kind of outrun our friendship, and it's been pretty sad for me. Um she's a really nice lady, but her interests and my interests have changed over the years, and she has gone down, and it's not to be bad, but she focuses on what everybody's dying of. I think you know the type. And I'm still in La La Land, not in La La Land, but I'm kind of Pollyanna. I like to see the bright side of things, and she's just gone down this path, and we've had some pretty deep discussions, and she decided she wasn't going to text me anymore because I don't like hearing what she texts about. And that's been pretty hard on me. And actually, we go to the same Bible study. It's a large group. We meet at a church. It's called Bible Study Fellowship, and I really like it. It's interdenominational, so it's not one specific religion. And I think there's probably like 300 women that attend this. So, we see each other in the hallway. The Bible study, we meet in the church and we sing a hymn, and then we hear a little lecture about what we learned last week. And then we break up into classes. And I enjoy that because when we break up, there's 16 people in my group, so we get to know them pretty well. But I saw her in the hallway last week and tried to give her a hug, and she kind of backed off. So that's that story. And so I just BSF. Oh, that is great. My schedule, yeah. BSF is good. And I started actually I went to BSF. My friend and I went back in the 90s, and I was newly divorced, and I went back to college, and I just couldn't do the Bible study in college at the same time, so I dropped out. And then when I retired 4 years ago, I started back in again. In fact, I had a part-time job for a couple years, and I said, "Well, I Bible study on Thursday mornings," and they said, "As long as you get your 20 hours in, we don't mind. It doesn't matter when you come in." So I was able to start that. And yeah, I think it is important to have friends. And let's see. And the funny thing is, my poor daughter, she my daughter works about 30 minutes from home. So we have a phone date every Monday when she's driving home from work. She'll call me and we gab for 30 minutes. I think sh I think she's become my new friend. And, you know, you there's things you can tell your kids, but, there's things you can't tell your kids too. They're your children. But, we do have some good things to talk about, and I enjoy that. And, let's see, tomorrow's my twin granddaughter's birthdays. Maybe I'll circle around back to that when they're identical twins, and before they were born, my her mom. I don't want to say if it's mother-in-law or I just want to say her mom. I don't know. I don't want to say if it's my daughter-in-law or my daughter. I'll just say her mom. Keep it anonymous. But her mom said she never wanted the twins to be dressed identically, and I'm glad she did that. It was kind of funny when the girls were I was babysitting them, and one twin had on a pink shirt and the other one had on a purple shirt. And I wondered if they recognized that they were identical twins. So I asked the one girl, I said, "Do you look like your sister?" And she goes, "No, she's got a purple shirt on." So I asked the other twin, "Do you look like your sister?" "No, she has a pink shirt on." So I appreciate the fact that even though they look alike, they have very different styles, and their mom always dressed them differently. And the girls are 15 years old now, and we still have trouble telling them apart. And one of the twins wears glasses now. We're going, "Oh, thank goodness we can tell who's who." But anyways, that was just remembering the girls. And Michelle says she's involved in a few studies, and her favorite one is by R.C. Sprout. Okay. Um, and he's a religious, or he's a biblical teacher. I think I've heard of the name. And yes, the twins are fun. And well, I remember telling him one time, I had two brothers growing up. I'm the oldest, and I had two younger brothers. And when I was growing up, I always wished I had a sister. And I was telling the girls one time, I forget, they were probably elementary school, and I said, I always wished I had a twin sister so I'd have someone to play with when I was growing up. And they said, we never play together. So I guess I didn't miss much not having a sister growing up. But it is hard. Like when I pray for the twins or think about the twins, I think, well, which one am I really thinking about? That's kind of a weird thing to admit to. So, as they get older, their family, well, there's 6 children in their family now, and they're so busy running all over the place. We honestly don't get together very often because there's volleyball and soccer and band and gymnastics, and you name it, they do it. We just don't have time to get together a whole lot, and I really don't know them very well, personally. So I kind of miss that. Um, I was going to talk for an hour, and I've made it to 46 minutes. Let's see if we can do another 15 here. Let's see what else is on the agenda. Oh, I've been thinking of doing a little 1-day road trips, and I live in northern Indiana, and in lower Michigan, there's some cider mills, and I've been thinking of doing some of that. And I grew up in Michigan, and we had a family cabin way up north. Um, it's a little over an hour south of Mackinac Bridge. That's how far north it was. And in St. John, Michigan, which is about halfway to the cabin, there's Uncle John's cider mill. And when I would drive up to the cabin, I would always stop there, and of course I get cider and a couple donuts, and oh, they had slushy ciders. Oh, it was so good. So I get a big thing of cider, and it's not the alcoholic cider; it's fresh apple cider. Just to be clear. So I would finish that up all on the way to the cabin, and then when I came home, I would stop there. And then at Uncle John's cider mill, they had a big apple orchard, and I would get out and I would walk 10 or 15 minutes to stretch my legs. So I'd have sitting in a car for 6 hours is a lot for me. So it's a good idea to get out and walk for a little bit. So, anyways, I was thinking of going to St. John's cider mill for a day, and I'm going, I just I am not sure I want to drive 3 hours one way and turn around and come home. So I'm still kind of debating. So I went on the Michigan website, and there's some cider mills that are further south. So I may do that in the next couple of weeks. And in the fall, again in Michigan, it's beautiful up north, and I just may take a road trip and go drive somewhere. Um, I know northern Michigan better than northern Indiana. I think it's because there's fewer roads up there. So I may do that in October. Oh, that's kind of neat. You have a cider press festival in October. That would be fun to go to. Indiana doesn't have any apple orchards. There's one. There's a few places in the county. They have kind of like a maze, different, you can go through the mazes with straw bales, and you can buy pumpkins and stuff. So I've done some of that. Some of that. In fact, I got a thing on Facebook. There's one place I like to go to, and they gave their hours for Halloween, for October, I mean. So that's kind of fun to do. And so just looking forward to fall. Do any of you like all the different scented candles and the pumpkin spice lattes? Are you fans of that? Um, I like to decorate leaves around my house. They're artificial, but I like to decorate leaves. And I enjoy the fall foods, like making chili and anything with pumpkin in it, pumpkin pie, pumpkin muffins. Um, I made a recipe one time. It was for pumpkin chocolate chip cookies, and that was pretty good. I enjoyed eating that. But I have a horrible sweet tooth, and I'm type 2 diabetes. So, baking cookies and diabetes don't go well together. If it's in the house, I will eat it. What I've been doing last 2 or 3 years is I will make muffins instead. And I'll make a batch of muffins and then I throw them in the freezer. And then I'll eat one a day till they're gone. Simply Michelle, you bake to share. Yeah, I kind of do too. I do have a funny story. One more funny story. My my son and daughter, their fifth child was born just before April. And so I took them dinner up, and it was April 1st. And I like to make homemade ice cream, so that the kids love homemade ice cream. And here it is, the end of March, and I don't have an ice cube machine because I just don't need it. So, anyways, I had to save up. I had to make ice ahead of time. Well, I went to make the ice cream, and I didn't have enough ice to fill the ice cream machine. So I took out a package of frozen peas, and then I came up with this devious thought. I put green food coloring in the ice cream, and I told the kids that it didn't have enough ice to make the ice cream. So when I was pouring the peas into the ice cream, I was pouring the peas into the ice portion. A few peas accidentally fell into the ice cream mixture. And then, of course, I said, April Fools. They don't trust me anymore. They said, Grandma, what green stuff have you got in there? Because I've been known, I've been known to throw zucchini into zucchini bread and zucchini brownies. I love zucchini brownies, but yes, they have to ask before before they eat anything. And hi, Robin, you are from Georgia. Is it hot in Georgia? I'm guessing it is. That was a dumb question. It's I live in Indiana and it has been hot. I think it was 87 today here in Indiana. And I'm ready for the cooler weather. I'm ready for sweatshirts and blue jeans. So I've never been to Georgia. Oh, I have been to Georgia once. Wait, we're supposed to be talking about funny things. And when we were still married, I'm long time divorced. We drove from Indiana to Disney World and we stopped at a restaurant in Georgia. And the waitress, she could tell we weren't from Georgia. I don't know how they could tell, So she said, Well, where are you from? And I said, Indiana. And she goes, Well, where's Indiana? Now, I grew up in Michigan, okay? So I raised my hand and I said, Well, Indiana's like right here below Michigan. And my kids and my ex-husband, they just looked at me like, have you lost it? And I'm going, what? And then I had to add fuel to the fire. And I said, well, I grew up right here in Michigan, and this is where the cabin was. I thought, I just thought I was acting normal, and I guess I wasn't. Robin says it's cooler at nights. And yeah, it's been cooler here in Indiana too. So, so how are you tonight, Robin? You just logged on and we've been having a party of two here. Oh, since you just got here, Robin, I was in my garden earlier and the topic was supposed to be fun things to talk about. And I found this in my garden and I decided he's my Grinch tomato. I think you can see the Grinchiness. Ah, I have to do things opposite what I think I should be doing. So this is my Grinch tomato. Here we go. It's like looking in a camera when you're on video. And I think I think I'll keep him around till December and see what he really looks like. Now, if he gets kind of buggy looking, I'll get rid of him. But yes, this is my Grinch. Bright color too, isn't it? And let's see here. So Robin, have have we met in live chats? I've been going to a few and I just don't remember. There was one Robin the other night. I've been going to, her name is Karen. I think she's the one that orchestrates it, but there's like 5 or 6 people that chat at the same time. And Karen is from Australia, and that's all I know. But the other night there was a Robin that was on the channel, and some people, their YouTube names are different than their first names. So I don't remember. I'm yammering on and on. I know when I go to this Friday night channel, I always say, "Hi, I'm Donna," because my name comes up as simply Simple Retirement Journey. So they don't know my first name. And I was thinking of doing a Thursday night every week. And there's 2 of you here. See what you think. Well, last week I did a Wednesday night one, and I found out that the group of people I kind of chat with live, there's somebody else that does a live on Wednesday night. So I thought I'd do a Thursday night. But over the years, I have watched a lot of YouTube channels. I'm kind of a YouTube junkie. Most of the channels I watch are homesteading channels. And there was quite a community. It was almost every night of the week somebody was on and they did their weekly chat. And I really enjoyed doing that. And there's one group left. They meet on Saturday nights and they've probably been doing this for 10 years. Back to the homesteading thing, when I was younger, probably in my 50s, I dreamt of buying a few acres of land and moving out into the country and growing a big garden. I really dreamt about it. And as I watched these YouTube channels, I discovered how much work it is. And I live alone and I'm not in the best of health. I can walk and stuff, but I could not physically have a big garden, and I certainly certainly would not want to raise chickens or animals or anything. So, but I have lived through these homesteading channels, and they've kind of become part of my family. Oh, Robin says I have to put my glasses on here. Her stepson lives in Michigan, and they love to hear me talk. I tell them if they ever listen to Jeff Foxworthy, that's how we really talk. LOL. I bet that's true. So when I started doing a YouTube channel, I grew up in Michigan, and when I go up there, I notice there's a slight accent. And when I started listening to myself on YouTube, I thought, "Oh gosh, I've lost my English accent. I sound like a Hoosier." I don't know if that's good or bad. And I mentioned at the top of the hour that I was born in England, and I obviously don't have an English accent. And I can't fake an English accent to save my life. In fact, one of the guys that's on the Saturday night, no, it's Friday night, where there's about 6 people get together. There's a man from Liverpool, England, and I listened to him because um, if I still lived in Liverpool, that's how I would sound. And I just find it intriguing and that funny. It's not because he's English, it's because I was born over there, but I sound pretty American. So that is probably about it for me tonight. And I really appreciate you two coming online. And thanks, Michelle. You worked a long day and you still came online. And I'm glad you stopped by, Robin. So I'm going to try to do this Thursday nights, like I said, at 7 o'clock. And if you want to comment later or whatever, if seven's a bad time, um, maybe I could do it a little later or a little earlier. I know some people they do chats during the day and or live chats, live streams or whatever you call it. And I'm kind of busy during the day. I think I think I think I still think I'm working. And my Monday through Fridays, it's kind of off limits to do fun stuff. So I kind of like doing the evening things. Anyways, well, thank you again for stopping by and I made one person laugh over my ice cream stories. So that was a good thing. And you two ladies take care and we'll see you again soon. Bye.